Very good morning to you. Before we have a conversation about film business, let's hear the day's proverb. City?
This is our final proverb from Tanzania. One who bathes willingly with cold water does not feel the cold.
One who bathes willingly with cold water does not feel the cold. Your choice. The choice that you made. So they were going for anyway, right?
Remember, my issue here was not the cold water.
It's the willing.
The choice. If I want to take a bath and the only water that's available is cold water. So,
Kubaya.
it's not really kubaya. Not much of a choice. Not much of a choice. And so, am I saying that I will therefore not feel cold? Of course I'll feel cold.
You will.
But I think the real solution here is if you take a bath in cold water regularly, after a while, it ceases to be a problem.
You get used to it, right?
Yes, your body acclimatizes, your body doesn't really mind. But you make the mistake of taking a bath with hot water, then going back to the cold water. You will feel it on your body.
Hey, my friend. It's not my portion.
To do what? To feel cold water on your body.
I am not here to suffer. I am not here to suffer. Why? Timothy Owase is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission. He joins us once again in the Situation Room. Good morning, Timothy.
Good morning.
Good to have you again on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Asante.
Unaonaje studio bado mataa iko malights. Brian, the lights are a bit bright.
I can see major improvements. City has become a great storyteller.
Huh?
From the,
City has improved.
of course, from the proverb, I can tell.
What was I previously, Timothy?
You have always been, but today you have confirmed.
No, you were at 85. Now you are 90.
In other words, I'm asking City to join me in the film sector.
Okay.
Yes.
We get it now. There's money to be made.
Indeed.
Yeah?
It's big business.
When you're invited so casually, there's work to be done. The money to be made thing that's a different story. But I thank you for the invitation, and I thank you.
And there are stories to be told as well.
Yeah, there are stories to be told.
Yes. Indeed.
Timothy,
Yes.
we've been talking about various, series, for example, the various platforms that Kenyans are able to create content and place on the various platforms, right?
Right.
We also have seen a proliferation of very many content creators on online platforms, on social media platforms, people who are now called influencers because of what they do and they create content.
Yes.
Some of them doing film. And then there are those who are proper film enthusiasts, and we've noticed that they are also going all out there, creating short stories, short series that are either aired on these platforms or aired in theater, So film appears to be doing quite well. Would you agree?
I do agree, and it also presents great opportunities. Yes.
Like what?
First of all, the screen sector is a big business globally. When you look at the year 2019-20, just before COVID, when I look at the numbers, we had about $172 billion spent in the sector.
Globally?
That is globally. For me, that is an opportunity that we need to actually take up as a country. And that's why Kenya Film Commission is here to advance the business of film in Kenya. So when you talk about the film industry is actually doing well, I may say it's an understatement, not only for Kenya, but for Africa and the globe. In Kenya, we are doing our best. We can do much better than where we are. But opportunities are immense.
For the longest time, when you talk about film, you think of where the film is going to be shown and screened, and people think of theater.
Correct.
Now, when we say all these things, there are those who are thinking, okay, so when is the last time I saw a new theater opening in the country anyway? A new theater opening in Nairobi or a new theater opening outside Nairobi. Then someone may come and tell you, you're telling me film is growing. Where are the theaters?
Yeah, first of all, let's think about what are the tools for you to consume content today as compared to before. When we spoke about theaters, that was before the emergence of the current technologies. Today, your mobile phone is your product or an avenue for you to access content. You can be able to consume content through the phone, meaning telcos today are pipelines for content consumption, and also TV stations, as well as other avenues, outdoor and indoor. So out of the new technologies that have emerged, we can be able to create content using your mobile phone, using other tools as provided by key players in the globe like Canon and others. And this has presented an opportunity for both investors, those who love watching movies, and those who create movies to actually undertake the business of film in an easy way.
Are we saying, do I understand you to be saying that physical theaters as we knew them, buildings where people went and displayed their abilities to act, are we saying that these are now most definitely a thing of the past?
They are still very relevant, and today you can still go to a theater and watch a movie on a big screen. But I'm just saying that there is now room for you to access content through other avenues like your mobile phone as compared to before. Yes.
When we're talking of movies, I was thinking about more stage acting, where, like the National Theatre.
Stage acting
Yeah.
can be transformed into a specific movie or a film if it is put in the specific technology.
If it's
that is
packaged
applied.
in that technology.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me tell you why I'm sticking to this with the like a dog with a bone. I'm looking at this industry that we work in here. Print for the longest time was king.
Correct.
Now, digital ways of communicating
Yes.
have made serious forays into that particular space, if we may call it.
Right.
And with it, storytelling has been reduced to small little bites.
Right.
So people consider news one line. That's news. And yet, I understand news to be a lot more than just one line. The line is the introduction, and then there is what it is that we are referring to as content that makes the news.
Yeah.
So even as we have new and better ways of consuming product or content as we understand it, are we not then diminishing the quality of this content if we insist that this new way is certainly an alternative, but it seems to be, well, it's growing to be the dominant means by which people actually consume content?
I do not think we are diminishing the quality. You know, when we talk about content creation or news distribution, this is a profession, and the players in this field apply their skills when creating and distributing this content. So in the screen sector, I'm looking at a situation where governments are putting more emphasis on creating environments that are supportive to the screen sector, so that those who are participating in the creation, distribution, and consumption, they're actually following the due procedures that are actually put, so that we have high quality productions, at the same time produced in a manner that is acceptable by all. The same applies to news. For news, we now have the digital tools where I do not have to wait for the 9 o'clock news for me to actually get to know what is happening around me. I can be able to access this information from anyone. Today, everyone is a newsmaker. You are on a highway, something happens, you capture, you put a line and share with the world. Of course, we are not saying that that is the professional way of doing this, but in terms of sharing information, we now have more avenues of doing that. Yes.
All right. As a Kenya Film Commission, there's something you're calling the Kalasha film and TV market.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, just hearing you say the way in which content has changed over the last,
Yes.
5 or so years.
Yes.
That means now the ways in which we consume content has also changed, just like you're saying. So then, How does the Kalasha film and TV market then now fit into this change, and what does it offer?
Thank you. Kalasha International Film and TV Market is a platform created by Kenya Film Commission to enable participants in the film industry to converge, trade, exchange, learn, fund, and undertake all activities that pertains to the film industry. So this year, the month of June, that is between 10th to the 12th, it's a 3-day event that we actually converge together to have filmmakers sell content, buy content, and also exchange in terms of networking. The market normally contains various activities. Let's talk about workshops. We have conferences, pitching sessions, where content buyers have an opportunity to actually get those who are pitching, and if there is any project that suits any buyer of content, takes this opportunity to be able to do this. So the Commission has provided this platform to enable filmmakers to actually trade and transact, and also have various speakers from across the globe who come together to discuss on various aspects of the film industry. For example, regulatory frameworks, when we talk about film incentives, funding mechanisms, capacity development, and how do we make our filming environment, for example, in Kenya, a friendly filming environment. If you are coming in to film from, let's say, a foreign country, how are you treated as a filmmaker? What are the processes for you to get into the country with your equipment? And how easily are you able to access skilled manpower and so on?
So it's a trade fair.
It is a trade fair. We'll have exhibitors, key international and local companies, film associations will be exhibiting, and we'll have key discussions on topical issues that touches on Africa as far as the screen sector is concerned.
You know, every time we talk about content, and just like we've said so far, there is the thinking of big investments, big equipment, large crews. You must have a professional cast and all those things. So I'm sure because of what you've said, technological advancements and the way now people are consuming content and the way people are even creating content, we have completely broken that down. If you were to speak about the various categories of content creators, which one would you say are, the smallest to the largest? And not small because of their insignificance, but small in terms of little investment required, but still good quality. Can you categorize them can you categorize content creators?
There are various categories of content creators. There are content creators who create content for consumption in a day. There are those who want to create content that will require mega investment. For example, a film that would spend over $1 million to be shot on location in Kenya will definitely require a professional cast and crew. You will also need proper investment into this particular film, and it may require aspects of co-production, which are key elements of discussion at Kalasha Market. So as you rightfully put it, it is true the categories of film projects vary depending on the executive producer and the producer. So if you want to sell your product, let's say, to a class of targeted market, then you will be able to undertake to produce this content based on your aspiration. And again, I think the key word here is film is big business. And when you're undertaking to produce any content or to storytell, you storytell with an aim. If there isn't any specific target that you want to achieve, then it may be very difficult for you to actually tell whether this product is of a certain category or not. But as far as classification is concerned, I think it all depends on the producer and what you want to attain.
Sure. Who is buying this content? And I'm asking now the caliber of the buyer, whether we're looking at local buyers, whether we're looking at global, international buyers, and for what reasons are they buying? Because essentially what we're saying is filmmakers, documentary makers, etc., are producing content. Are they for local channels? Are they for global channels? Are they for, use educationally? what would be your kind of, buyer demographic?
Thank you. Storytelling is very dynamic today. And when you produce content or when you create any kind of content, you create content with a specific targeted market audience. For example, in Kenya, we produce content as local producers to sell our content to the global audiences, either video on demand, local broadcasters, or international broadcasters. There is a lot of localization. Also, in this particular space, we have so many competitors in terms of players as far as broadcasting is concerned. And because of this reason, there is a lot of localization, which means that the stories that are being told in Kenya are actually being sought for in other countries, let's say in Asia, America, and Europe. So when you are creating content, you create content targeting all these particular markets, knowing that when you expand your horizon in such a manner, then you have an opportunity to create wealth and create more jobs. Yeah. So to answer your question, the buyers of this content are both local and international.
Okay.
Yes. And they may be in form of key distributors, video on demand organizations like Netflix, Showmax, pay TV stations, free-to-air broadcasters, among others.
Okay, I think you've mentioned a class there of the off-takers of content. TV stations. You've said the OTTs like Netflix, Showmax, and the others.
Yes.
You have said it could also be
TV.
pay TV. Then there's distributors.
Yes.
Now, for people who don't understand this, explain who are distributors and what kind of business is this?
Thank you. The distributors are like the brokers between the content creator and the ultimate consumer. Today, Eric is a producer of content, and he would like his content to be consumed by audiences in South America. In between, we have my sister as the distributor, and her role is basically to link Eric and the audiences in South America. So the role of the distributor is actually an intermediary between the content creator and the consumers. Yes.
So what happens? Is it that the producer, in this case Eric, sells the content to Undu, the distributor, or does Eric license the content to Undu, the distributor? What's that relationship like? Then what does Undu do with CT, who is the South American big TV network?
There are many ways of how this is done, and this is where the intellectual property or copyright issues come about. First, the content creator will have an agreement with the distributor on whether you're actually selling the entire content to the distributor, which means you are paid off once and you forget about it, or you license your content in a manner that, based on the kind of contract that you've signed, you will be paid based on the distributor's aspect of distribution of this content to various platforms as agreed and as targeted to the specific markets. So it is a whole business in itself, where we have distributors ranging from both local and international, and their aim is actually to help the content creator create wealth or make money. Yes.
So is there guidance that happens? So, I mean, just take, for example, very many people working on an experiment, essentially what it is, because as the platform, I'm assuming, and please stop me if I'm wrong, that what you're trying to guarantee is that there's quality sought after content that then is sold at the market, right? That there will be more and more buyers as you go along. So is there some kind of guidance that then goes towards the content creator on this side, saying, you know what, this is what the fields of the market are right now. This is the kind of stuff that people want to consume. Telenovela, documentary, nature kind of thing. Or are you leaving it to the creative genius of the content creators and say, we're just providing the platform, bring whatever you have and we will sell? Or is there some kind of creative guidance that takes place?
Yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, an appreciation that the screen sector is a professional sector, and anytime you set out to create content, you have to undertake research. And this research should be able to provide you with insights on what your target market actually seeking. That will inform the kind of content you'll be able to produce and how your story will be told. Let me come back closer here in Kenya, where we have various communities and we have different types of stories that emanate from different regions of this country. One would actually set out to undertake research on how, for example, if you want to tell a story about the Turkanas, you have to undertake to understand exactly, when we talk about the Turkanas, what is the nature of the Turkanas, the kind of food they eat, where do they live, what are their key economic activities, and if you are telling a story about them, then who is the consumer of this content? If you've identified that after you create a story about the Turkanas, then all Kenyans will be able to watch this content, then you create this content for all Kenyans, having undertaken proper research and investing in it properly. So all I'm trying to say is that film, like any other economic activity, calls for proper planning, undertaking research, investing, and also being able to set out your marketing plan for distribution and commercialization. Yes.
Let's take a break at this point. We're having a conversation with Timothy Owase. He is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, talking about the business of film, the economics of content creation in this digital era. The Kenya Film Commission has organized the Kalasha Film and TV Market that's going to be taking place for 3 days between the 10th and the 12th of June. Where will it be?
At KICC.
Various exhibitors, various people across the entire film value chain will be in attendance. And is it open to everybody to attend?
So far, for one to participate at the Kalasha International Film and TV Market, you need to pay as a delegate 300 shillings per day or 700 shillings for the entire period.
Quite affordable.
Yes, and you can be able to sign up in good time through our social media tools, that is Twitter, Kenya Film Commission, Facebook, and Instagram.
700 bob for the entire 3 days.
Yes.
And the kind of wealth that you'll come out of there with, that is
huge.
A huge one. 7:30, the Kenya Revenue Authority would like you to know about the alternative dispute resolution mechanism.
Yes, so opportunities lie therein if you have an issue. So you get an email, right? You get communication that something is amiss with your payments, you're not up to date, etc., etc. Then you start to panic, right? And you say, okay, so now finally the day has come when these fellas are after me. Well, not necessarily. It's an opportunity for you to go and say, before they do actually come after you, for you to go and say, look, is there a way that we can have a look into this? Maybe the books are not quite right, but I'd like to make it right. So alternate dispute resolution with the KRA says, you can have an individual who can come in and mediate between yourself and the Kenya Revenue Authority and say, okay, if indeed you do have back taxes unpaid, let's come up with something that we can both abide by and we should be all right. Isn't it? And 90 days, this thing will be sorted out. You then have an opportunity to get, your issue sorted. If it's going to be an installment plan, you get to pay. Look, there's a lot of things that can come out as solutions just by having a conversation. And that's what it is. Come, have a conversation and figure out whatever messes would have been created.
Avoid long, drawn-out court processes. Talking about the Kalasha Film and TV Market 2022, that's going to be taking place between the 10th and the 12th of June at the KICC. Only 300 bob to attend for a day or 700 bob to attend for the entire 3 days. Everybody is feel free to come and participate in this particular fair. The economics of content creation in the digital era. This is what we are discussing this morning. So, Timothy, when you talk about the ability to create content, there are many people who now are just doing simple content creation. I have a ring light, I have a good phone camera, and I'm good to go. And so it comes out as good content, quality content, but it's small time, like what you said, content maybe to be consumed in a day. But if you start now advancing in terms of the quality, then it brings in the issue of cost and access to everything that's required, access to proper cameras, access to better lighting, access to professional crew. Do we have places such as those in this country which even offer you facilities like studios? Tyler Perry, with his, how many millions of acres does that man own?
Goodness. For a whole academy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
An entire thing that is just a studio. All the other big studios that we see, Paramount, 20th Century, Warner Brothers, big studios. Do we have such in Kenya?
There are opportunities for such, but we are yet to have them. So we are encouraging investors to actually take this up as an opportunity. There is the Konza Metropolis, which is providing an avenue for anyone to invest and actually have such a mega studio in Kenya. So for those who are yearning to actually invest, the film sector provides you with that room to be able to do this. During the Kalasha International Film and TV Market, we have the lead visual special effects of The Lord of the Rings, a gentleman called Don Leon, who will be participating at Kalasha this year. And this is an avenue for one to actually understand how such a mega product can actually be produced, and also to provide an avenue for discussions on how you can be able to come and invest in Kenya, government providing you with incentives for you to do that. So when we talk about us being able to produce high quality content, that calls for so many other aspects. We would like to see more qualified screenwriters or script writers, producers, cinematographers, and all that participate within the entire value chain. And this can only happen when we have qualified those who've actually undertaken the art of filmmaking as a profession. This is being offered by many universities in Kenya today, Kenya Film School, among others. And also at Kenya Film Commission, we provide short-term training for those who participate in filmmaking using their mobile phones or simple gadgets. And for you to actually undertake the art of filmmaking in Kenya, it is also possible for you to not necessarily to have to invest in a camera, but you can be able to rent it out from organizations such as Canon, among others, so that you are able to undertake your business.
Is there collaboration between film school and then the commission? Because then I see that as a direct way through which all that you've learned in school, whether it's coming from the University of Nairobi or the communication schools of Daystar, USIU, etc., then to say bring then, because this is a practical career. It's not
True.
something that's based in theory, right?
Yes.
It's practical, hands-on. You learn the art and then you do the art, basically.
Yes.
So is there a collaboration between the two to say that, by the time we're calling, we know that these are specific students who've gone through the learning over time, and now we're asking them to come and actually show their skill?
The commission is actually the link between the industry and the film schools. So there is collaboration between the commission and film schools in various ways. We undertake what we call industry placements. For example, those who qualify in film schools, we have a program within the commission that enables us to place these graduates to key production houses where they can be able to attain the actual practical skills. As you rightfully put it, film is not about theory. It's all about doing. So when you are in school, without practice, then learning becomes a challenge. The other measure of learning through practice is we would like to attract more big budget films shot on location in Kenya. And by participating in these productions, then you provide an avenue for many Kenyan young people who are yearning to join the industry to actually become professionals. Today, we have so many professionals in this sector who've become real experts, and yet they never stepped in any film school. They only learned by virtue of participating on big productions in the country.
Okay.
So there is a linkage between film schools, Kenya Film Commission, and the film industry in general.
So apart from just the opportunity that we offer, What else does the government need to do, or what we as Kenya need to have in order to be attractive to people who might want to invest in this particular industry?
There is a lot that we are working on having as a country. The government, first of all, is working on realigning the sector legal framework through legislation so that we have a friendly film industry. We would like to have film incentives which will enable film investors to actually come in because we are able to compete with the rest in the world. You've had situations where a film producer is actually trying to assess between coming to Kenya to film his product and going to any other country. What is the difference? If Kenya has incentives, for example, let's say we have proposed that we will have 30% film incentives for anyone coming to film in Kenya, then that will give us a competing edge, which means if any other country that will compete with us doesn't have such a facility, then we'll have an upper hand. And the more productions we do in the country, then we stand to gain in a very big way, because the screen sector provides an array of benefits that you cannot be able to compare to any other sector. We drive manufacturing, we drive agriculture, we also drive job creation in all other sectors, be it legal, banking, creative, enterprise, among others. So not just opportunities, but looking at the benefits we are able to accrue. And from those benefits, we have a duty to actually attract more investors in the sector. And those investors will be able to come if there are incentives. So incentives is a key word here. And also opening up room for funding productions. Yes.
You mentioned something that I think is extremely important, because if we look at the way in which film has developed, I mean, some of the big names of films, documentaries that have been done from the Kenyan space, the funding has been put in by a lot of foreign funding.
Yes.
Now, what space then can government take up here, even if it's partnerships? Even if it's partnerships with others who come in and say, well, this is the kind of content that we want to create, and we'd like to see Kenyan filmmakers involved in this process, and then they throw their financial muscle behind it. Where does the opportunity for that lie within these spaces to say that, look, a lot of filmmakers today wish that they could put their ideas on the reel, but they cannot do this because they cannot afford everything that it takes, whether we're talking about equipment, whether we're talking about personnel, travel, even doing a recce, for example, of where you want to shoot is an expensive affair, and it needs, really a lot of buck when we're talking about this. So what space then is there for collaborations, especially when it comes to funding of film?
Thank you very much for that. There are a number of avenues that we can actually be able to fund films, and the role of government here is to create that avenue. One of them is to open space for what we call co-production treaties. For example, I look at a country like Nigeria, where we have a thriving film industry, and the film industry in Nigeria has actually positioned itself and confirmed to the rest of the world that the film industry can actually be number one economic earner for a country. So if Kenya does what we call co-production with Nigeria, then we'll have Nigerian producers and Kenyan producers combining effort, which means that the Nigerian money can be combined with the Kenyan shillings for us to be able to produce content. Another component, and that is driven by government, another component is for the government to provide what we call a credit guarantee scheme. This will enable banks to open up the space for funding local producers. And when this is done, of course, commercial banks will join into the industry and feel free to fund filmmakers other than looking at filmmakers a risk component. Number 3, establishment of a film fund that is specific to the filmmaking business. This will be able to enable stories to be told in whichever way and form that we want. So these are things that we are working on, and with the support of the Kenya government, we are very certain that we are going to conclude on this particular issue of funding and open up the space for storytelling in the country.
Sure. I mean, and then just even looking at, the guarantee of quality as well, who champions that? Because, anybody can sit and film something in the four walls of their bedroom and then put it out there. So what's the guarantee of quality that you're saying, look, let's start to get to a place whereby anything that comes, off the belt of Kenyan filmmakers is a guarantee of quality. It doesn't matter whether it's, for the big screen, it doesn't matter whether it's your, run-of-the-mill TV, that it will be quality and that can be guaranteed. Who champions this particular process?
Thank you very much. When it comes to championing the quality of productions, I think this is an affair that is meant to be championed by the producer. Government cannot dictate what you want to produce. The only thing the commission does is to guide and provide you with the insights as to why it's important for you to produce content that can compete with others in the market. Remember, any producer, you are telling your story in Nairobi, but there is somebody who is telling his story in Lagos or in Johannesburg. They are competing for the same space. So for you to be able to compete at that level of international, then you need to actually up your game in terms of quality. And quality means content that can be consumed with ease by anyone who is actually seeking to access this kind of content and pay for it, the value that you deserve. Yes.
I think also the market will dictate the quality because the market keeps pushing for
the demand.
Keep creating that demand for better and better quality. Looking back at what you were saying, for example, the Kenya Film Commission pushing for support of, much of collaboration between Nollywood and Kenyan producers and all the other things that you've talked about. I get a sense sometimes that when you talk about film and the Kenya Film Commission, there are those that think that the job of the Kenya Film Commission is to bring foreigners to come and use Kenya as a filming location and not necessarily promoting a culture of film production and content consumption within the borders. And I think the latter is a bigger and a bigger mandate that you may want to take, where you encourage people to create content as much as they are creating content, encourage people to consume local content as much as they want to consume local content, which then drives that industry to grow. If we look at, let's say, Showmax or MultiChoice and what MultiChoice have done with the various platforms of Africa Magic and the rest, because of having that platform where there is content, then that has generated demand. Netflix as well generated demand for content, and as people are comparing the content that's available on Showmax, then they're able to tell, well, yeah, I like Crime and Justice because of the quality that's there, as opposed to this other one, which, and people can clearly see the difference. I'm thinking of Tanzania and the kind of content that they produce in Tanzania and the kind of content that they consume in Tanzania. And I don't think we can compare with Kenya. I think in terms of their consumption of their own content, they are further ahead of us. You may correct me.
Thank you very much, Eric. First of all, is to appreciate your comment on our mandate. Our mandate is actually focused on both local and international. We promote the development of the local film industry while at the same time attracting foreign productions into the country. And during the Kalasha International Film and TV Market, I would like to confirm that we will be launching the first ever mapped local locations, Kenyan locations, basically, which are meant to showcase what we have to offer as far as locations are concerned, which kind of crew we have, the sceneries, among others. So yes, it is critical that we promote the local productions because we like to have the skilled manpower, at the same time key storytellers who are able to tell stories that can actually traverse the world. That cannot happen if we are not championing the growth of the local film industry. As much as we attract productions of foreign content in Kenya, we also want our own content to be consumed elsewhere, and that cannot happen if we are not telling our stories. So we champion both. comparing Tanzania and Kenya in terms of local content, I would like to also reaffirm the fact that at the Kenya Film Commission, we have various programs, and these programs are geared towards championing local content in line with the Kika Act of 2013, which provides that about 40 to 60% free-to-air broadcast has to air local content. But that is not enough. We would like to see to it that be it pay TV, VODs, among others, are actually airing local content, because most consumers of this content would like to consume content or stories that they can be able to resonate with. So we have an audience development program at Kenya Film Commission that is purely to push for the consumption of local content. We are also establishing film clubs in schools to see to it that content consumers and creators are actually nurtured from that youngest level, so that as we get towards the university and joining the industry, we are not really hitting blanks. We would like to be very deliberate in a manner that if you are in a high school and you've chosen to become a dancer or a storyteller, let that be your perfect career that is supported by all parents and the community at large. Yes.
You said something that I think is crucial in all of this, and that's the consumption. Yes. But the consumption by local markets, I believe, is one of the drivers to the successes of film in any country. Right. And maybe you can, show us how this can actually happen based on what KFC is doing at this time, when you have, markets like the Kalasha International Film and TV market. Because the examples that you give of Nigeria, for example, the first and ultimate consumer of Nollywood is Nigerians within the country. Yes. Anything else is surplus. Yes. Right? So you have 600 films being produced in Nigeria over the period of 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, that's the churnout that you get. But the initial public relations is for locals. Correct. In the cinemas, and there's a whole PR about it. Do you think such a model then, because the realization that, you don't have to then focus on the almighty oil for foreign or even local investment, that you can focus on other things? And that realization has come quickly. What do you think can be done here? Because even when we talk about local cinemas, the question that Eric was asking about, are we seeing more cinemas being erected around the country that could actually then be drivers for this content that we're talking about? So it doesn't necessarily just have to be that local content is FTA, yes. Even on VOD, but that it is really in your face. And you can actually have some true gems from Kenyan creators shown locally.
Yes, that is a very good one. Allow me to say that I have a program at Kenya Film Commission. We call it My County, My Story. And it's all about storytelling from the communities. We encourage championing of film festivals at each and every county in Kenya. We have 47 counties. And it is possible that we can actually have at least 2 stories told every year in each county, which will mean that we will have, if it is 1 story per count, we have 47 stories told, stories that can be sold through film festivals, regional film festivals. Then championing of consumption of local content is a reality, and it's possible. And as you rightfully put it, when you are consuming more local content, then that provides room for even foreign film business to thrive within the country. Absolutely. So we are actually pushing that, because we would like Kenyans to tell more Kenyan stories and also consume more local stories, expanding to East Africa. This will provide us an avenue where the better the quality of the story and the more the stories are available, then it also gives us room for those who are actually consuming this content to be able to pay for it.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
You also talked about locations.
Yes.
What does locations mean?
Basically, when you are telling your story at any given point, you make choices, and these choices are focused on the location. And what does the location entail? It entails the physical evidence of where you would like your film to be shot on, the availability of equipment, availability of crew and cast, and also the the country in terms of processes. If you are coming to film into the country here in Kenya, or if you are going to film in Masai Mara, you need to interact with the county government of Narok. What are the processes? Producers look at all these aspects or as factors of production. If I'm going to film on your location, what are the restrictions? Am I going to undergo a bureaucratic process before I can be able to undertake this process? And how can I access, if it is a savanna grassland, if it is, let's say, coastal region, what is it exactly that will the country provide that I can be able to access all these facilities? If there are game parks, are there charges that inhibit me from accessing? And what is it that we are talking about? We have the big five. How do I capture, if they are the national parks, the big five without any restrictions and without interfering with aspects of conflict between wildlife and human beings? All this culminates into aspects of film locations that a producer always looks at.
I know I've seen some stories about Embu County and the Embu County government going big on encouraging local productions, even taking some of the young people who have starred in various films and TV series and employing them into the county government. People like Omosh of Tahiti High working for the Embu County government. So what is it that the county government of Embu, for example, has done?
Okay, thank you. The county government of Embu has an MOU with the Kenya Film Commission, and we made it our mission to sensitize the county government, starting with the governor, to appreciate the role of the film in growing the Embu County as an economic activity. And we did this practically by funding one of the films, Medicine Man, which was actually set on location in Embu. And indeed, we encouraged the county government of Embu through their economists to document the benefits that will accrue from this particular production. The film was set on location in Embu. It took about 2 months to be produced. It had a crew of about 250 people. All these were some local, some were from Nairobi and other parts of the country, who were staying in Embu, basically meaning that they were eating and sleeping in Embu, spending all their income at that particular point. And the circulation of the economy in terms of the funds, that meant that the Embu county government was actually getting revenue from this production. So my challenge to the county governments is that just like Embu County, it is possible that each county can be able to allocate funds for the films or screen sector, which will be able to give us room for the film industry to thrive as a collective effort between the national and county government, without forgetting that the creatives themselves also have to appreciate this sector as a real film business.
That's true.
Yeah.
Timothy, we thank you very much for joining us again today. Timothy Owase is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission. We've been talking about the Kalasha Film and TV market that's going to be taking place on the 10th, from the 10th to the 12th of June at KICC. If you'd like to attend for just a day, it's 300 bob. If you'd like to attend for the 3 days, it's 700 bob. Go to the Kenya Film Commission social media handles and you'll get all the details. Have a lovely day.
SpiceFM.